This is the greatest time to be alive, and you happen to be living in a great place for my thesis. You live in a place where this country lives its life here. And the cost for you to enter it and do something for yourself and your family, zero. I learned that watching people, and more importantly, understanding people, and most importantly, being empathetic to people was the best way to build a real business. I've always thought, how do I bring more value to you than I get in return? It's very simple. Karma, or doing the right thing, always works. The problem is, most people are impatient. The reason most people are impatient, especially in cultures like mine, Eastern European, in cultures like here, there's too many people in here that are trying to get successful too fast because they want to prove it to their parents. The number one thing that I have seen as I've gotten older that has been very obvious to me is that most of the people here today do many of the things they do because of 1 to 5 people's opinions in their lives, whether their parents, their spouse, their older sibling, their neighbor. Living your life predicated on the judgment of somebody else is the great weakness of the human being. Are you prepared to finally get quiet in your head and not allow the opinions of others to dictate your behaviors? Most people get frustrated that they aren't first, and then they don't go all in because they think they missed it. However, winning on these platforms is a game of being better, not first. Being better comes in 2 ways. This is where it gets very important, my friends. Being better on putting out content only comes out in 2 ways. Either entertainment, right? Or information. If you are capable to be strong enough internally to start posting on these platforms more truth, more your truth, your truth, you will see a remarkable return on that investment in this market. For me, everything is about reverse engineering. What do you want to happen? Like what? What do you want to happen? And then understanding in 2019 that written words, audio, and video on 7 platforms can get you there is remarkable. It's just remarkable. It's so crazy to me. I'm sitting here listening as I'm talking, and I'm literally blown away that I believe it. I mean it. I'm shocked that we are now living at a time where the internet is at scale. The apps that dominate the culture are free. You could literally walk out of here right now and start the process of changing the course of your life if you want. And literally the only thing left now, because the excuse of money and time is over. That's amazing. The fact that money and time have been subsidized by the internet because you can lay in bed and do it at 11 p.m. if you want, and the cost is 0. You don't have to buy a store and open it, like 0. It eliminates all your excuses, and now the question is, why not? Why are you not? For 7 to 8 hours a day, for 4 years, I would go to Twitter search wine terms, jump into them, and give information for 4 years before anybody gave a fuck who I was. My friends, it's early. It's early for 100% of the people in the room. It's ridiculously early for 95% of this room. This internet thing, it's big. It's real big. We haven't even started. Please understand how lucky, that's the only word I have for it, how lucky you are that you get to live during this era. Right now, anything that comes out of your mouth that is complaining makes your grandfather want to punch you in the fucking face. You understand? Do you understand how much better you have it than every generation before you? This is such a ridiculously special time And literally, the far majority of this room is not gonna take advantage of it because of the insecurity of worrying about somebody who they don't even know leaving a comment that they're ugly. Are you literally not gonna take advantage of the actual ability to be happy and successful because somebody comes on your account and says, you're stupid? Everybody's living on these things. It's gonna happen more, not less. You can judge it, that's fine, but that's what's gonna happen. And so if you are not producing words and videos and sounds for these 7 platforms, you almost don't exist. Now, what you say though matters very much. And let me give you a couple advice points from somebody who's really won. The number one thing you have to always do is talk about what you know. I watch people try to talk about stuff they don't know every single day because it's hot. Whether it's cannabis or sports betting or blockchain or social media, people start talking about things they don't know anything about because they're trying to grab. They think they're gonna get a fast score. Everybody wants a fast score. People are looking for fast scores. You know how many people here spent $800 on a course because it was gonna happen fast? Fast is bad. Fast is bad. Fast if you have talent and the right intent is amazing. Fast if you want cash immediately. Next, this is the most important word. You have to deploy self-awareness. My friends, self-awareness is the most important word. If you don't know who you are, you have no shot. But do not be embarrassed of who you are. When I knew that I was an entrepreneur in the 80s, I got D's and F's in school, and that was not acceptable in the 80s and 90s in America. If you were a bad student in America in the 80s and 90s, you were a loser. My friends' parents looked at me as I was a loser. But I knew who I was self-aware. I knew that I was an entrepreneur. I wanted to go and sell things on the weekend. I wanted to study the prices of wine and baseball cards instead of studying for school. I knew who I was. One of the most important things about being self-aware is knowing, do you have the stomach to be an entrepreneur? Putting entrepreneur in your Instagram account, easy. Living the life of an entrepreneur where nobody else is on the line except you, hard. Lonely, scary, difficult. If you do it because it's cool or you think it's right or you're not self-aware, it leads to depression and loss of money. If you deploy self-awareness and realize you're a number 2, a number 3, a number 4, you find an entrepreneur and you win. Self-awareness. You have to understand who you are. Without it, you are massively vulnerable in society. I believe that self-awareness and the ability to actually give without expectation are the 2 bricks of happiness. And it's been a big factor for me, which has allowed me to go fast. When you're stable, you can go fast because you're not worried about judgment. I've been able to do a lot of things because I'm not scared to lose. Because if I lose, it's my loss. If I lose money or time, it's my loss, not yours. I don't care what you say in the comments. That lack of fear is what gives an entrepreneur an advantage. That lack of fear is what lets somebody live life in happiness. We have to start having more important conversations of the operating system of your life. Let me give a very big secret to all the kids here who are living their lives for their parents or based on their parents' judgment. There's a very big secret that parents never tell you. If you go the other direction of where they want you to go and you become really successful, they are really proud and make pretend they never pushed you in the other direction. But I was always gravitating towards old people my whole life. And the number one thing I learned in the first 20 years of my life, spending more time with old people than most kids, is the biggest thing I fear is regret. Regret is scary. Resentment is very scary. The biggest reason I push kids to do what they want versus what their parents want is because I'd rather them and their parents have 5 or 6 or 7 years of bad than 80. Because it gets very ugly when you're 60 and they're 80 and you lived your life based on what they wanted, and now you resent them, it gets real ugly real fast. I would rather you have the pain for the next 5 or 6 years of fighting and then have one of two things happen, which I think both are amazing. Number one, you were right. You were right, and you are an amazing fashion designer, not an engineer, and you built a real company, and your parents are gonna be very, very proud. Or, you were wrong. You suck at fashion design. Nobody liked it. But at least for yourself, you never have to live the rest of your life asking yourself, what if? You win both ways.